morning, everybody. Thanks for joining another Cute for Teams, Champions Using Teams Effectively. Ricardo here. I don't think Stacy is available to join today. So I will fly solo today if that's all right. And we can jump in as always, chat or come off mute if you came here with any burning thoughts or questions. And I should say thoughts, questions, yeah, comments at all right, because we really built a little community here, and so even if you came here with like wish we could talk about X, it doesn't have to be like a question per se, but I'm certainly happy to talk about subjects, given that we are a group of champions or evangelists, and we're sharing this stuff with our peers and our different organizations. So I am open to any topic. So fire away in the chat. Do my best to keep up. While you're thinking about that, I guess, there's always something on my mind from the week. The one that has been on my mind lately, because it came up multiple times this week, is closed captioning in meetings. In particular, the real-time closed captioning, not so much translation per se, but captioning in general. And it's been very useful to me, to the point that I personally now have it on, automatically on all my meetings. It used to be that if I, was having trouble, hearing someone or understanding someone, I would turn it on. But and I think it may have been someone in this group that talked about, the additional benefits of, seeing, what's happening, in writing, a little bit more of engagement. So I've just been keeping it on lately. It's been useful from that perspective, but was wondering if you, as you other champions, encourage or personally use the captions on a regular basis. Maybe I found them as a good tool, to as you're training others. And then certainly, it's most obvious one in terms of whether there's a hearing issue or vision issue or something like that, or and then of course translation makes sense. But yeah, just wondering on thoughts on that, and while you're thinking about them, checking the chat here. Okay. While you're thinking about that, I'll address Melody here about the webinar option disappearing from their account. Wondering if she's wondering if anybody else has that. I've actually shown in this meeting that it had disappeared for my demo tenant here at one point, but it did come back. So I guess I could +1 that in the past. Now let's see today if I'm good. Aha, see, I am not good today. So you're not alone. And I'm glad you've got a ticket in. I'm not aware, until you mentioned it, until I've seen it here, I wasn't aware that was an open issue. So glad you've got a ticket in. If anybody else is seeing that, can kind of confirm whether this is a little more widespread, maybe a thumbs up or let us know in the chat. Yep. So yeah, I should have a webinar there. Fire up my commercial tenant too to see if it's having that problem there as well. Anybody else seeing or having that problem? Or yeah, maybe a thumbs up if your webinar is fine. Then we at least know it's not 100% widespread. However, I see no thumbs ups. So either we're checking or we got a big problem. Okay, so Will says he sees it today. Okay. Maybe associated with premium going live. That's a good theory. Okay, Lori says hers is gone. And so the question, would that be the intended behavior? I don't think so. aware of webinar 100% going over to premium, so I don't think that should be the case. Colleague lost it yesterday. I checked and it was there, but it's gone for me today. Okay. Well, it's at least something for me to follow up on. I'll ask Stacy if she's heard anything. And I can check here in my commercial at least to see commercial still has webinar. So that would sort of suggest it's not a premium thing, and my commercial tenant still has webinar. This could suggest though it's a GCC thing. I'm gonna
Yeah, I
do a
talked to
check.
Stacy about it yesterday. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Because she's my CSM. So yeah, but she knew about it, and some of our users have it, and some of them don't. And it's
Okay.
always frustrating. I don't have it right now, so it's always frustrating for me as the champion and the one who trains Microsoft
Yeah.
across our org when I don't have things. But I mean, I know it happens, but
And have you already done the whole sign out, sign in, check for updates process?
oh yeah,
Okay.
cleared cache, tried it's both the desktop and the web version
Okay.
are broken. Yeah. And so I do know there is a little bit of a workaround, because when you schedule a meeting now, you can, with just a meeting, have a registration option for everyone, but you don't get to add custom questions.
Okay.
So there you can require everyone to register.
Even though mine
Well,
is
yesterday
yeah.
that was working for me. Let me see. Maybe it's not working today. That was there yesterday.
Yeah. Well, that's not fun. Hmm. And this still works. Okay.
Okay, so for everyone, that is still available to me.
Yeah. I almost wish that there was yeah, almost wish there was almost like a web-based landing page for webinars in general, so that clearly this problem's probably bigger than just a missing button, right? It sums up with the service, I would think. But if by chance there was a button issue, then I'll just go over to some landing page for my webinars. That would be kind of cool. But so it did. I checked for updates on this one. It is refreshing. We'll see if that does anything for me. Nope. So yeah, so if nothing else, we were productive this morning in confirming an issue, and let Melanie know she's right to submit a ticket. Yeah, and I agree, Karen. We all know that things happen, things break, but the unexpected nature, right, is unfortunate when you're trying to show someone something and it's just gone that day. So yeah, that is unfortunate. For those that can, we're having a little side commercial tenant could be useful. You're not showing the GCC version, but in this case, webinar does is still alive on a commercial side. So if you were just trying to show someone something, at least you could still show them. But I do get it. It's not cool when especially for someone like me, is getting in front of the customers. That'd be a bad day. I'm here to train you on webinar. Oh, it disappeared today. Well, I'll see you next week. Okay, looking through, yeah. Looking through the chat here. Keep a cool feature, yeah. Please keep us posted about the ticket. Yeah, okay. Planner. How do you add an access planner in a Teams channel? So how do you access it in a Teams channel? So I'll back up from that question to say, how would I access Planner in general for a particular team? Like, let's say in this case, let's go here, the District 9 Road Safety Team. You can see, for instance, I know this one has a plan, a plan associated with it, and it usually means there's a tab up here for it. Now, is this probably it? Yeah. So I would answer the question, how do I access my the planner plan for my team? In that team, I would, use a tab. I could also get to a planner plan through the planner app on the side, which would show me plans and tasks across all my teams. But the way you asked the question, how would I access it in a channel? Um, I think I would answer that just by saying I would then, in that channel, I would then go to the tab that I've created for it. I'm saying it that way just because, I mean, someone could create a plan for a team, but not necessarily a tab for it. And then it might look like it doesn't exist, even though it does. Um, so I don't know if that's getting towards your question, Glenn. It was more about how do I access, planner in general, um, or is it something specific to a channel?
Well, we had this group of users that they were using chat for everything. And I said, you're really a team. You're having recurring meetings with the same people, sharing the same information. So they created a new team. And then they said, how do we add an access planner to this new team?
Okay.
So, and it could be, do you add planner to the whole team and then it's available to every channel, or do you just add it in one channel? Or
Yeah, I think so. You're really adding a planner plan associated with that team. And so like in any given channel, so I've gone here from, instead of general, I've gone over to delivery. I don't think there's actually any tabs currently associated with planner. I'm going to hit the plus symbol and I'm going to go to planner. Now we already saw this team does already have a plan associated with it, but I'm going to planner. And I can either make a tab to an existing plan, like this is the one we saw over in general, or create a new plan for this team. But the short answer there is I'm in it. It's great that you pointed them to, hey, you're a team, get together in that team. And now that you're there, you can fire up a new planner plan as easily as hitting this plus symbol and just creating a new plan there. And the thing, I think the nuance here is, as you're guiding them, one way to guide them is to lean on the beauty of the transparency of this whole thing, because we all know there's this complicated planner behind the scenes, a whole different little module in O365. But from an end user's perspective, they can kind of rest on the simplicity of it's just this tab, on a given channel, or any channel, right? I just hit the plus symbol and I'll can make a new one. And once it exists, I just go back to the tabs to get at it, right? It looks very integrated. If they, want to take it to the next level, though, they can certainly use the planner app here, or as we know, go straight out to the full-blown website for it and access it here as well. And again, as they really, any team that really starts getting in the planner, probably at that point, you really need to let them know, yeah, planner is its own thing. And then they'll probably spend a lot more time maybe on the website. But the kind of team you're describing where they're, starting to get used to it, maybe I like the idea that to them, it could sound as simple as just hitting that plus symbol when you're rocking and rolling, wherever you may be in that team, whatever channel you're in, just use that planner button there. Maybe next level is use the Teams wide planner app on the left rail, for of course, which they could of course pin. And then maybe the next step is actually just going to their Office 364, Microsoft 365 portal, finding planner there and working with their plans and tasks there. Does that make sense?
Yes. Now, I don't know much about Planner. What does Planner give you in addition that just plain old Teams calendar does not? What is the point of using Planner as opposed to just using the calendar?
So I actually wouldn't compare Planner and Calendar per se. I wouldn't call them. So a planner has a calendar here for the purpose of showing you tasks with dates assigned to them. But this wouldn't, show me meetings I've got or anything like that. So it's not a calendar from that perspective. It's a calendar that exists solely for showing me tasks with dates on them. I would think anyone trying to use a calendar would probably be trying to use it related to meetings or events or things like that. And so, it's going to have a different function, and the other calendaring options, might make more sense here. So, if someone was looking for a calendar, I wouldn't immediately say, yeah, create Planner because that's got a calendar. I would actually say a SharePoint list because there's a nice calendar view there that might make a little more sense. There is a channel calendar here is more for the channel meetings. So even this, if someone wanted a generic calendar, I wouldn't suggest this one either, even though it's very tempting and it's nicely integrated. But again, I would go with a list and use the calendar view. I'm interested to hear if anybody else got a different view on this or has done something differently. I'm looking through the chat as well. Teams kind of, and then also to the question of why use a planner in general, even outside the calendar. And I'm seeing some responses to you in the chat. The planner is very specific to creating tasks for a project and being able to assign them to each other and to be able to track them. And certainly, if you're familiar with Kanban and that kind of thing, it kind of makes sense there. But as you can see here, the big draw is if I go, let's just go here and let's go here. So a lot of times the big draw is these buckets. I'm just trying to find one with some content in it. These buckets here and being able to visually move things around the different buckets, maybe, right? In this case, this one's got inception, delivery. You can add as many buckets as you want. So be able to move them to different states with assignments, with details like what steps need to happen, what date they need to occur in, all of that. Be able to, maybe see charts about the progress of them, when things are due and that kind of thing. So it's task management is what Planners is meant to be for in general. I've heard it described as the project tool for the occasional project manager. A full-blown project manager is probably in Microsoft Planner, Microsoft Project. The occasional project manager is in Microsoft Planner. Is how I've heard it described.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm seeing some other useful tips in the chat as well. Yep, I agree about channel calendars being clunky. I feel like they're good for what they're meant for, but not good for what people think they're meant for. If that's one way to describe it. Planner list and Teams is nice. Yep. So seeing some good. I will say, if anybody's wondering what does he mean by using SharePoint list for a calendar, I can show that quickly. So yeah, if I wanted a nice calendar, and I've done this on teams that I'm on, I fire up a list. There might even be a template for like events, and I think I may have used that. So hopefully I'm not going too fast. I just use SharePoint lists. I'm going to create a new list. Look at their templates. There is event itinerary. This might be the one I used. Content scheduler. Let's go with event itinerary. I think this is what I've typically done in the past. You can see it's got a calendar icon there. Out of the box, it's showing a list view of these events, but we'll roll with it. We'll say use this template. I'll leave that name as is, and hit create. So initially, you've got this blank list. You would think Ricardo led me wrong. This is not anything like a calendar. Where it comes into play, though, is if I come over, let's see, I think it's create a new view. I'd say calendar or whatever I want to call it, or maybe I'd say event. I don't know, whatever I want to call it. But here is show as calendar. I want a month view. See, it also has week view, all these things, blah, blah, blah. And then I probably go somewhere else to make a default view because I think I would want it to be the default view. I'm going to go ahead and hit create. And this probably looks more like what people are expecting from a calendar. So there's my month view. I do have week view there. I'm going to set current view as default. So that way, every time somebody comes to the event itinerary calendar, boom, it's going to show there. And then as normal, I'm going to make new items, with start times like, let's go with that and hit save. And where did I put that? It might take a second because did I choose the right date for that? I think I did March 6th. March. Let's go with 6. What am I? Oh, and the start date. Yep. Okay, save. Okay, there they are. The one caveat is I typically like to see my dates like an all day thing showing up here. So certainly it worked, right? The dates are there. And if I go to the day, I can see what's there. Yeah, so actually, what is this? Unscheduled. Wait a minute. Oh, it did tell me. What did it tell me? It said start and end dates are missing. Okay, let's go here. Start date 3/6, end date 3/6. I think this is what's going to make it show the way I want it to show. And then I'll hit back to list. Or did I miss the save button? Start date, yeah. Come on. End date. Am I missing a save button here?
Moving
Start.
out of the field that you're in is what saves it.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. I saw it say saved. Okay. Boom. There. And that's what I'm looking more of what I'm looking for there. There we go. So I was missing my end dates for those. So now that I got through all that, hopefully now this looks like what you would expect from using a calendar. It's on a tab. It's, I can see a month view and see what's going on a given day. What's not going to show here, though, it's not integrated with my Outlook calendar. If I add a meeting on my Outlook, it's not going to pop up here. So I've used it for teams where we're not trying to truly share our calendars, but we are trying to keep track of events and like to see them in a calendar view. So yeah. And then you can see some ability to, if we would need to have a conversation or, about this. We got a couple ways to do that. Notice the difference between comments and conversation, but we can do that on that. And the other thing I've done with the teams I've used this on is set up reminders alerts. When a new item is created, then everybody gets an email. And then, of course, we can get fancier and do some Power Automate if I want to push that to that message to a channel or something like that. So, and just real quickly, that it should be, I might have to go to SharePoint for that. But given that this is a list, the alerts are there, whether either the old school alerts or the new school ones. Once that comes up, but hopefully that's the calendar you're looking for, and the kind of calendar you're looking for, and hopefully I've sold you on the fact that SharePoint can get it done for you. Yeah, the alert me is this is old school alert. So if anybody adds a new event to this, I would get an email about it. New school would be automate rules, create a rule, new item is created. And then, I'd send an email. I think you can, I thought there was a way to send it to the whole team. But anyway, this would be a newer version of alerts to get an email about new stuff. So hopefully that helps from a calendar perspective.
Ricardo, one thing, I think you need to have a date in your list. Otherwise, you won't be able to get that view to come up. Is that correct? If you don't have a date field in your list when you create the list, and then you try to go create the calendar view, I don't think it will let you.
That could be
confirm that. I think
that could be true, and so I got around that by choosing that events itinerary.
Yeah, it already had dates in it.
Right. Yeah.
Just want to throw that out there because I think I've run into that where I want to do a calendar, but if you don't put a date, it's like, why would I want to have a calendar? There's no dates to pick.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good point. Awesome. So, in fact, before lists got fancy and started including that calendar view, I mean, this question would come up from customers often. And my approach was still SharePoint, but it was not as pretty as this. Because, we just saw that this was a SharePoint list, but from the end user's perspective, this just looks like a cool tab dedicated to being a calendar, SharePoint was my fallback in the past, but it wasn't nearly as cute as this. So, yeah. Cool. I think as I was demoing that, I think I missed a lot in the chat, but I think you guys are helping each other in the chat. So that is good.
Yeah, I just make stuff up. So.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
Ricardo, one item around shared channels. I have a customer that was asking if apps are on the roadmap to be added to shared channels such as polls or.
Yeah. I don't know about apps specifically. I just know I've seen a lot of chatter and questions lately about, what's coming there because people are also asking about integration of good GCC shared channels with commercial shared channels as well. But what I haven't seen is the answers to those yet. So that's something I'm following as well. But I don't know to date what the plan is for that.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah, I second Brandon's need for that.
Yeah.
The shared channel things is really powerful for quick project. The pseudo project manager that throws it out there.
Yeah.
But we need the ability to use apps like Planner, Polls. That's what we want to engage in the project. Is hey, do some tasks specific to this one little shared thing. We don't need a whole full-fledged team to do it. We just need the chat capability with some planning features and then obviously feedback. So
Planner is because of that Office 365 group concept that is still behind the scenes. I feel like it complicates some of the innovation here, and so I'm assuming that's why it's not part of a shared channel yet, is because it's so tightly coupled to the team in your home tenant. And I'm just speculating here, but what I've seen. So I don't know. I don't know if it needs a whole rework to really make it more functional. I don't know how they plan to address that, but that's been a challenging road because of that O365 group thing behind the scenes. So interesting. Well, good stuff. Glad you guys could join me today. We'll keep it rocking and rolling next week. And one of these days I will catch up on, I'm like 3 episodes behind of putting these out to YouTube, but that's my plan, as it always is, for today or this weekend. So be looking out for that as well. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, aka youtube.com/teamwork cowbell, go subscribe. All of these episodes are there. And then I try to categorize them on teamworkcowbell.com. So keep that in mind. Tell your friends. All righty. All right. Have a good day, everybody, and a good weekend.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and check out the blog for more content.